Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk, where we break down real world problems with zero sugarcoating, no filters, no retakes, and no cuts. And today we're talking about youth prevention, specifically on how we address alcohol and drug use in real world with honest and ongoing and something that's actually effective. We're asking a question that I feel like every teen and adult should probably want to know about. And it is, what does real prevention look like in the big 2025? And this topic hits really close to home for me because I've been a part of Students Against Substances, which is an organization in the Youth Fort Bend Council for almost 5 years now. And I've been working on youth prevention since middle school. And I've always been a huge advocate for it because I feel like every teen and adult should know that I feel like alcohol and drug use for youth is not okay and whatsoever. And today we're not only talking about what works, but we're talking about what it actually looks like on how when youth and adult come together to build something strong. And today I have someone who is not only just the front lines of youth prevention, but who works every single day to create a stronger and safer community for teens like us.
Hello, my name is Lauren Ibekwe. I'm a coalition coordinator. I work at Fort Bend Regional Council on Substance Use. I am a coalition coordinator for the Fort Bend Community Prevention Coalition. And then we also have the Fort Bend A-Leaf Prevention Coalition as well. And I'm also one of the coordinators for Students Against Substances, which is our youth coalition.
Yes. So let me just start off with the obvious. Obviously, we're talking about prevention. Why do you think prevention is often treated like, I guess, a one-time conversation? And why do you think it sometimes falls short?
So, a lot of times it's treated like a one-time conversation because, people are really busy. There's so many different problems that young people have and adults have. And so, it's kind of brought forth as just like, oh, like a little lesson. Don't do this. And then, people move on. They don't necessarily understand the need for the ongoing conversation that prevention entails. It's just, people see it as like a morality issue. You don't do this. My child doesn't do this. I don't do this. We're not those type of people. And so when you have that, sometimes it doesn't feel like it needs to be reiterated. And that's because a lot of people don't understand that, because of how the world works right now, substance use is everywhere. Drugs and alcohol is everywhere. It's in the music. It's in social media, it's on YouTube, it's on, every part of life. People are having conversations or there's portrayals of substance use, some good, some bad, but mostly a lot of times it's normalized. And so that one conversation about prevention is sadly not enough. It's not enough.
I feel like it's very overlooked. Even in, I guess, to the student's point of view, I feel like drug and alcohol is so normalized in a way that now even adults are starting to just like overlook it and just not really, pay attention to what the bigger problem is, which is now that it is so normalized, I feel like it should be like we should take a bigger stance for it because it's so normalized and So if one-on-one conversations don't work, what do you think actually does work? Because obviously prevention is working and I guess Students and Substances is making a huge difference. What do you think is actually working? What are you seeing that's working?
So I wouldn't say one-on-one conversations don't work. I would say you can't only have one-on-one conversation. So conversations, regular conversations, but not just lectures. Like it's not enough for parents to just be like, this is what I heard about substances. I don't think you should do it. That's typically not enough. It has to be finding opportunities to engage with the behavior and what surrounds substance use, and finding ways to constantly remind. So like even though substance use and drug use, alcohol use is normalized, it's not technically normal. Like our research and even nationwide data has shown that substance use trends amongst youth and young adults has gone down. It's gone down over time. Sometimes it plateaus, sometimes it goes down, but for the most part, it is going down. Until recently, there's been a little bit of an uptick, but that's because the conversation has been that it's so normal. Because they see it so often, then everybody thinks that everybody is doing it. And then when you look into data and stuff, people perceive that their friends and their peers are smoking, drinking, using substances more than they actually are. So perception is reality sometimes. And so if people are like, okay, this is a normal thing, I'm going to do it, then, it becomes like, oh, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
I can hit a blunt, or I can do this, or whatever, there's no real consequences because this is just like a normal thing. And that's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
In our area in Fort Bend, only 1 out of 10 kids are regularly doing substances, and that's across middle and high school. They're not doing it that often,
Mm-hmm.
but the conversation makes it seem like they're doing it. So then those people that want to try it, then they do because it feels normal. So we kind of have to have conversations around making sure, even though it's normal to have a conversation, it's normal to see it, we do need to acknowledge that it's not normal to use, or it's not,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's not doing it. And that should be how the conversation is going. It's just some people are using substances. We do see it a lot of the times. There's data saying that, some places here and there, it may be going up. There's people are trying new and different things, new and different strains. They have new and different access to it. But it's not necessarily a normal thing that everybody's using
Mm-hmm.
substances. That's not true.
So do you think that maybe organizations like Students Against Substances, or I guess people that are not just parents, or I guess highly influential people in my life or in a person's life, but I guess third party people
Mm-hmm.
would make the situation a lot better, because they're getting point of views from every single direction,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's all based on one result and one answer that it's not good for you.
Yeah, and maybe just instead of focusing on the people that are doing it,
Mm-hmm.
let's change the conversation and focus on the people that are not.
Yeah.
So making that very, very clear.
So instead of just adults or anyone constantly saying, this is bad, this is bad,
yeah,
this
look
is
at
bad,
this,
this
look
is
at the
gonna
kids,
do this.
this is what they're doing. Oh my God.
They should be like, okay, look at all the people who aren't doing it. Look at all the
Yeah.
people who are doing drugs, or they still have a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
They're you can go to a party and not drink and
Mm-hmm.
have so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Having good examples instead of having bad examples of
Mm-hmm.
the thing.
You can
Because
work.
then to a child, it feels like the parent is constantly finding faults in what's already been done.
Right.
If I've already been doing all these things, I don't need more people telling me that this is bad. I know it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if someone would tell me, okay, look at this person, they're not doing it, or they're having a great life without having anything, I would find a positive approach.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would try and be like, okay, there's good, and it's not just me getting bashed about all the wrong things I've done.
And reinforce good behavior. If a lot of times parents should take the opportunity to congratulate them and pour love and support into their kids that are showing behavior that they want to see, celebrating and oh, you have such a good group of friends, you guys are really doing well, I know you guys had that party, or I know you went to prom, you came back on time, validating the good choices.
Good choices, yeah.
Validating
So,
the good choices.
so being honest, I feel like sometimes teens and feel like adults just don't get it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what it really looks like in, being Gen Z. So what do you think adults still misunderstand about teens, or I guess they just feel disconnected on why youth are using substances? What do you think is a huge misunderstanding for, I guess, adults?
I think it's just hard for them to understand the landscape of what it's like to be a teen these days.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they're exposed to, I am a millennial, and so whereas we had TV and we had radio and we had some technology by the time that I was in high school, it wasn't really the same amount of pressure that people your age are experiencing. You have, you used to just compare yourself to the people that you had in high school when you were in high school. Now you're comparing yourself to the world. And you're not even comparing yourself only to your age. You're comparing yourself to movie stars, influencers, all these different people. You've got so much more going on in your world, and there needs to be some empathy and holding space for that. They need to understand that the world is bigger for you all, and so you've got a lot more challenges you're facing, and they need to be more open to what your world is like and how you can navigate, instead of I think I see a lot of denigrating, a lot of fighting of oh, Gen Z this and they're so this and they're so that, and that's not really helpful in terms of bridging the gap and learning to understand each other and how to navigate in your world, not how to shut down what shut down social media. We're not supposed to be doing this. They need to have less of that. And there's space for that, and we can definitely have conversations about that. But also we need to have conversations about how do we understand your world and how can we give you the tools that you need to successfully navigate it as it is, because that's what you all see. So, I think parents, the adult, the community should be on TikTok. We should be following what's going on. We should understand the trends so that we know what's going on and how we can best meet y'all where y'all are and have conversations with you that actually resonate. And then also not always be the loudest in the room. Sometimes we need to give you all the space to make decisions for yourself, to make an effort towards helping yourself, finding more groups like Students Against Substances that are helping to create those messages and helping to mitigate the damage that's already out there right now. We don't know everything. We know what we know, but there's a whole new world and landscape out there. So, be more community minded instead of just coming down hard on what's going on and being negative and being
helicopter.
Right.
So obviously we have influence from so many different things. We have influence from social medias, celebrities, people who we idolize, people who we follow, then obviously our community, our friends. There's so many different places where we get influence, and it's not only negative, but I guess the bigger impact that makes is negative things. Right. It's more negative than positive is what gets impacted, which 100%. I don't know why it's like that, but it's now, as I see it, it's even celebrities, normally if someone says if it's your idol, you focus on obviously the good things and stuff. It's completely opposite now, and I feel like it's just so much negative that we get more than positive from everything we like too. That it's so I'm just wondering, where do you see hope in? Where do you see a little glimpse of there's so much negative, but I feel like I'm confident this is one positive thing that I feel like it'll influence teens in a good way to stop using or prevent it.
I think, the hope that I see is that there's every type of kid on social media now. You can really find someone that represents you well, and there are people who are bold enough to be different. I think now more than ever, people can be celebrated for being different and so if it becomes popular to be I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do this, there's actually that person can get a following. You can actually get on TikTok and hear people give you good advice and good information about the consequences of substances, and it not to be perceived in as uncool or
so you
or
won't
cringe.
So basically you won't get judged for actually standing up for what you believe in, what is right.
You might still get judged, but you could still find a community that gets it. There's so many different personalities, and so many people are doing a really good job of finding a way to connect with people on whatever message that there is, and pushing back on the mainstream or what is normalized. There are a lot of people who are good at pushing back on that, and they can find a space to grow and people to see that and things to change. So that's kind of my hope with y'all's generation in terms of okay, it's still it's still the same where sometimes the bad stuff does shine through. But a lot of times, because it's so normalized, then somebody else that has a different message, they can break through. They can break through. So you just need to find those people that are willing to do that and has the right data, has the right information, and has some sound advice.
So you heard it here first. I feel like every teen listening, you have a voice that matters, and somewhere, another place, somewhere you have someone that probably has the same ideologies as you. So don't think you're alone. If you believe in something, do take a stance for it, because there will be people supporting. Even if it's one, at least you have somebody else that feels the same way about something. So go for it, because it's probably something positive. And if you're seeing a bunch of other people talking about it, then I feel like obviously you should try and find a stance or something bigger that can actually impact other people. So I feel like as as a coordinator or like a mentor in youth prevention, what do you think are some key takeaways I can ask and, give advice to teens who are listening about youth prevention, or someone who's already, fallen into that? What are some key takeaways?
So I guess it depends on for what key takeaways in terms of how to make good decisions, or not to fall into substance use. Some key advice that I would have is to always have a no prepared. Like, if some people are very, very confident and they can say, no, I don't do that, I'm not into that. And some people, it can be difficult. Like, you're at a party and you just want, like, peer pressure doesn't look like it is on like a TV show. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not always like, drink this, drink this, drink this. Sometimes it's like, everybody in the room is taking a shot. It's your friend's birthday, and you don't want, you don't want to be the one to like kill the vibe.
Yeah.
And so, instead of being like, I don't drink, it could be hard. Like, after the third or fourth time what you're saying, people are just like, oh, come on, it's just once. We're not gonna do it all the time. So instead of, if you don't have the strength to say no, have the strength to say something.
Find an excuse.
Find an excuse, and already have the excuse before you get there. Yes. If you know that there's going to be alcohol at a situation, an alcohol at a party, or you're going into a place where there's going to be substances, already kind of have it in your mind what you're going to do to get out of that situation. I'm on antibiotics. I
have to drive home.
Yeah, I've got to drive. I'm the designated driver, so I'm not drinking tonight. I got to miss out. I've got to get up early in the morning. It doesn't agree with my stomach. Like, whatever, just already have your no or excuse prepared.
Okay.
And also, for other people, realize that there is peer pressure. Like, you can actually pressure someone into a situation, and you don't mean to.
Yeah.
And like your attempt to have fun with your friend can turn into peer pressure. If somebody says they don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't want to take a pill, they leave them be. They shouldn't have to tell you more than once that they don't want to do it. And I know you're trying to have fun and or whatever, but their no is their no. So we need to start listening to our friends when they say they don't want to do something, and we need to always have our no prepared. Especially because now more than ever, it's really difficult. Like, back in the day, sometimes people used to experiment, and they make a bad decision. I accidentally did this. I took this one pill. Somebody gave it to me at a party. I shouldn't have, but oh well. Like, all's well that ends well. That's not necessarily going to happen these days because of things like fentanyl, because of things like all these street drugs that are being laced with synthetic stuff. You don't know what's in anything anymore.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of teens misuse the, kind of like, they take advantage of, oh, it's just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Because you never know when it'll turn into an addiction. One drink, one, smoke. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like that's probably the number one thing that gets them trapped into this, into drug and alcohol use, is they start off with, oh, it's just a one-time fun thing. Like, I'm just at a party, like, I'm not going to do this every day. Like, they have that misunderstanding in their mind, and they're so confident.
Yeah, and you can rationalize. You rationalize to yourself, like, oh, it's just this one time. Like, it's not going to be a big deal. I'm never going to drink again. But the mind is a funny thing. Once you try it once and nothing bad happens, your brain tricks you into thinking it's like, oh, okay, so like the next party you take 1 to 2 shots, and then the next party you maybe take more, and then before you know it, if you've got other things going on, or you might have a history of addiction or something like that, then you might end up with a problem. So like, sometimes you don't know if it's going to happen the first time you use, or the fifth time you use, or the sixth time you use. You don't know what's going to be happening in your life. Unfortunately, life is hard, and life comes at you fast. You end up in school, and a lot of things are coming at you at once, and then this thing that you use to have fun at parties now becomes what you use to cope and get through life. And so you don't want to set yourself up down that wrong path, especially because, and we do really like to iterate, before your age of 25, your brain is still developing. So the younger you start to use, the more likely you are to have an addiction, which is why the drinking age and any usage of age is at the at the age that it is. It should be, honestly, it should be higher. But they know more now about how brain development works. And so the younger you start, the more likely you are to develop addiction, because your brain like adapts so quickly. And it's, you know, you introduce alcohol to your brain, it's just like, okay, is this what we're doing now? Okay, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. And you're more likely. And a lot of these companies know that too. Which is why, even though they're not supposed to, they market their products to young people. They market their products, alcohol, marijuana, all of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of marketing around alcohol. Like, they're purposely targeting young. And it's really, really hard, because they can be really deceptive, because like on TikTok, on Instagram, on like a lot of these commercials, like, you don't really see that they're marketing to you, but they are. Sometimes when they do have, like, you know, when an influencer does have a particular product, even if you see them vaping something or smoking something or something like that, and you can see the brand, that's marketing. Yeah, that's marketing. And because it's your favorite influencer, you see it, like, you know, it spirals.
I feel like that's a huge thing, but I feel like teens like us, we also, because it's like, if we do it bad, it's only gonna affect us. Nobody else is gonna be there for us. So I feel like we also have that in mind, and things are changing. Yes, there's obviously alcohol, but things are changing, and hopefully organizations like, obviously, Students Against Substances, and more organizations like this will help and bring change, and probably bring a better and more positive result. But thank you so much for being a guest, because I feel like you did a really good job in explaining, and I feel like a lot more people will have a better insight and view, especially from someone who's been in the front lines and who's been in youth prevention for so long. Because I feel like for a lot of people, they hear it from so many different people, but they don't ever actually hear it from someone who's seen the data and who works on this. Like, their whole job is this, youth prevention. So I feel like you did a really, really good job in helping everyone understand, and me understand. Thank you so much. I feel like people like you are the reason why there's so much more change in youth prevention, and just being brought a better like attention on why everyone should be a part of it. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And again, if you are a teen listening, please don't ever be shy to talk about and speak on whatever you think is right, because you never know when someone's actually going to need it, or someone's actually going to want to hear it. So thank you so much. And again, if you want to hear more on Real Talk, please comment and share. And you know, always stay true, stay kind to yourself, protect your peace. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.